welcome to my channel, Better Monday Fasting. In this video I'll be talking about my new American dream, or my upgraded American dream, how things worked out for me in that regard. Before getting started, I want to make it clear that nothing I share in this video is medical advice, and please do your own research before making any health related decisions. This channel is more about fasting and healthy lifestyle, but also once in a while I make videos on the results of this, the results of the fasting and a healthy lifestyle, because fasting has been guiding me through life since I started in 2016. And yes, I wanted to share my adventures with the United States and the American dream, and how it changed over time. So to give a quick background info on myself, I was born in Turkey, and at the age of 7, my family moved to Switzerland. And then when I was 24, I decided to move to the United States. I lived there 11 and a half years, and it was probably, probably the best years of my life. Even though now that I'm in Latin America, you can be competing with that. So I lived 11 and a half years in the US. Then somehow I went back to Europe, and for a long time for me it was the worst decision I took. I mean, the best was to go to the US, and the worst one was to come back. So I stayed total of 6 years in Switzerland. I worked at a startup for 5 years. Then for a year I was unemployed, and then in 2016 I started fasting and decided to move to Argentina. So I moved to Argentina in 2017, and mid 2018 I decided to become a nomad and start living my life that way, a nomadic life. And until recently, in 2024, I decided to get a residency in Paraguay. So what happened with regards to the American dream? My American dream was rocking out. I grew up. I started playing in bands as a rock musician when I was 14 years old, and I absolutely loved doing that. I played in many bands, and so I played in a band that so after all the junior high school bands and less professional bands, in '94 I started playing with this band called Swoan, SWOAN. You can check it out. The music is online. And started playing with that band. That band got you had potential. So, we played shows, and things will go pretty well. And we were best friends, and the music was good. We were completing each other. So that's the perfect band situation, when you complete each other musically, artistically, but also you get along on a human level. It's great. I mean, for me it was I was playing in a band with my 3 best friends. That's how I saw it. So even while we were you know, playing with that band and like having our little like journey. Things are going good. We got signed and we put out like a 7-inch, then put out like a record. We had a booking agency. I mean, they were the booking agency of Blonde Redhead, you know, like it's like we were opening for bands like Mogwai, Royal Trucks, like, so it was like we were at the kind of at the, I mean, definitely at the right time and more or less at the right place. I mean, Switzerland is not the best for rock scene, but I think with our contacts and with the potential of the band, we could have jumped to the higher like European scene. And so even when things were going great, I always had that idea of with the band moving to the United States, you know. I was like, that's why I said maybe we're not at the, it was the right time, but not the right place. But there are like worse places, but it wasn't all that bad, but you know, to really have a shot. So I will try to convince my bandmates, you know, hey, we should move to the US and stuff, and like we will have those discussions. But like they didn't seem to. I mean, they were way too realistic than I was. Like, I mean, they will challenge me with the questions like, yeah, I mean, what are we going to eat? Where are we going to live? I mean, those are legitimate questions, like, but I was more like you jump first and then you think, which can be disastrous. So like, it's not medical advice, it's not a life advice. But so I had that, like that American dream, you know, and also like, you know, most of the bands we're listening, like they're from there. And back then we were really into the Chicago scene, you know, with Tortoise, like all those bands. And so I had this dream, like to go to the US and eventually go to Chicago, you know. So we kept playing with the band and everything was going well, and we even had the posters for the European tour. So that agency was like actually wanted to book us a European tour, and we even recorded like some new material, like in a really nice studio with the best like engineer in town. So we're really happy with the sound and everything. And out of the blue, we split up. I mean, I don't want to go too much into details, but like for stupid reasons, we split up. And the thing, like back then, I didn't know that that's when you realize later that that we had something very precious in our hands, you know, to play in a band. That, I mean, we'll play even our first shows. I mean, there will be like 300 people at the shows, you know. So you play shows, people are showing up. You're playing with your best friends. Artistically, it's you know, you're feeding each other, and then so for many years after that, I understood how much I was like, yeah. I mean, it's kind of. It happened to me with two things, you know, like my first band, my first serious band was probably the best band I played in, and also my very first like serious girlfriend. Like she was Turkish, her mom French, her dad Turkish, and it happened at the same time, and like so I was dating her and playing in that band, and then many years after that, after breaking up with her, I also come to the conclusion that yeah, maybe she was the best for me, you know. So I was like blessed with you know, the best band, the best girlfriend right at the beginning. But what I didn't have was the perspective, you know, to value those things to what they were worth, you know. So that was a very was a good life lesson I took from those experiences. So once the band split, I was like devastated because I think a year earlier, like I had quit school. I quit school to be able to focus more on rock. But then as soon as I quit school, the Swiss military, they were after me because, if you're not going to university, you have to. So I was like 19 years old. I enrolled in the Swiss Army. So I did my military service. And I didn't like it too much when I was doing it, but it served me so much. So I'm really thankful that, really thankful and proud that I served in the Swiss Army. I mean, I learned so much about myself, my true potential, and also about Switzerland. People who, like from the other regions, like people from other social economic backgrounds. So yeah, it was a great, like while I was doing it, like they were making us sleep like between 2 to 4 hours a day. Like it was kind of intense, but it really woke me up. And then I saw that that I was capable. I was like I was pretty strong, like mentally and physically, and which I had no idea, because my mom, she's a Turkish mom. She was a little bit protective, like most Turkish moms, and always like, oh, be careful, always like caution, like a little bit like that. And so when I enrolled in the Swiss Army, and I was a fireman in the Air Force, and I'm with huge guys and everything, but we are going into fire, we're doing all those things, and I coped pretty well. We were walking like miles and miles with 50 kilos of a backpack and the weapons and all that. And I'm seeing that I'm one of the strongest ones, I'm like, wow, that's good. Like, that's good to know, because I totally didn't have that image of myself before. And also I didn't, I wasn't put in such extreme condition before in life. So yeah, the Swiss Army experience was great. I almost regret, I don't like that word too much, but because they were kind of interested in me becoming after soldier, become a corporal and eventually lieutenant, and you can advance. So they had approached me, but I was really like, I wanted to rock out. So I was just like, I somehow managed to not pursue like the military career. But that I regret a little bit. Like it would have been, it would have been good to push the envelope even more with the Swiss Army. So when the band broke up in Switzerland, I was devastated because I had quit school. Like now I finished military service and everything, and everything was going great. Like we had great shows. So it's perspective of touring Europe, becoming more of a, even in some I think once in the French magazine there was a little article. They're like, wow, this is like a very promising band coming from Switzerland. We weren't famous or anything, but it's just like that. They were like, wow, something is happening. Something is happening in Switzerland. This is a promising band. So it was very, exciting. And then the everything collapsed at the less expected time. So it was it was dramatic. It was really dramatic. I felt like, what I'm gonna do, with my life. And that drama, they always say crisis equals opportunity. Well, I actually that drama and that sadness I was feeling, it helped me to, I'm like, you know what, like that American dream that I had on the shelves, yeah, I'm gonna do it, you know, I'm just gonna, and then back then I was working for a company, it's called Migros, so we're carrying like with two of my bandmates were carrying like meat at night in the fridge, you know, like the huge warehouse, and so you have to put like your ski outfit to go work, and you carry carcass of meat like all night. But it was really well paid because it's like a job that nobody, well, at least back then, not many people wanted to do because of the conditions and the schedule, you know. But for us, it was perfect. You know, because sometimes we'll even go like see a show, and after the show we'll go work, you know, like so it was perfect. And then that company, it's actually a co-op. It's like, I think it's the biggest company in Switzerland. It's a great structure. I mean, they have all kinds. I mean, they're known for their grocery stores, but they also have you know, language classes. They have even gas stations, banks, because they're kind of a non-profit. It's like a co-op, so like each time they're making profit, they reinvest, and they even support like. I never used it, but I know bands that you know, you put their logo on your CD back then, like in the 90s, and they will give you 1,000 francs. You know, you just thank them. So it's not very rock and roll, you know, to have like the logo of a grocery store on your CD, but they give you 1,000 grand, you know, like Swiss francs. And so then I saw that they were offering English classes there. So I started taking some English classes, and then I saw that there you could go to, you know, to be even have a better level of English, you could go to the United States. So I saw that and I was like, wow. And so they had 3 destinations. They had San Francisco, New York, and San Diego. So, you know, when you're from Europe, like outside of the US, you're like, they always sell you the, you know, the Golden Gate. They always sell you the you know, Manhattan and like New York, like the skyline, all that. But I look at the prices, and they were the New York and San Francisco, they were like very expensive. And the one in San Diego was more affordable. And back then I didn't know anything about San Diego. Like it was the first time I'm hearing San Diego. And I'm like, yeah, like this is all I can afford, like, so let's check it out. So I go on a map, you know, and so I knew Los Angeles, and then I started looking on the map, and so this is like 1998 or something like that. I look on the map and I see, you know, I knew Los Angeles, I knew, you know, South Central, and I see like, oh my God, it's south of Los Angeles and it's like north of Mexico. And I'm like, oh my God, it must be the most dangerous place on earth. Like I was like, oh man, like, yeah, I was like, oh, I understand why it's cheaper than New York and San Francisco. But I was just like, well, you know, rock and roll, let's go, you know. So that allowed me to have like a student visa. So I signed up for a language school through my work in Switzerland. I took my base and I just went to the US. So yeah, like the first thing, like I was really like stressed out. Like when I came, I was just like, I'm gonna go there, they're gonna jump on me, rub me, like you know, like the way because like everything you see from the US, and back then it was from the movies, you know, internet was kind of starting, so everything you see is from the movies, and it's like yeah, it's always like you know those United States movies with guns and action and all those like all those things. so then I you know, I make it to San Diego, and I'm like, wow, like that's like, you know, it was so peaceful, it was so beautiful. And so then I'm like, okay, let's walk. You know, like I start walking. I walk 1 block, 2 block, you know, 15 block, 30 block, 40 block. Like I'm like walking, nothing is changing. You know, I was like, what is this? You know, because I'm like, you know, and I'm walking, and people are looking weird at me. You know, like you know, they're looking weird at me, like what is this guy doing? And back then, you know, I had like more like stretch pants, which like Americans don't wear. And I think I had a turtleneck because when I came to San Diego, it was already September in Switzerland. It starts being like, so I'm this dude, this like yeah, kind of Middle Eastern looking, but you know, with European clothes dude walking like next to freeway, you know, and people are looking at me like, what is this guy doing, you know? And yeah, I'm noticing that nobody else is walking. So I'm like, oh, okay, I got it. Like, I need to buy a bike. So I get somehow I find a second-hand bike, and then I start biking, and I'm like, it's impossible. Like, I mean, it's like, you know, I'm biking, like nothing changes. It's always the same houses, the same gardens. Like, I'm like, where am I? Like, where is the city? Where is, and all the people I meet, like, I'm like, oh, do you know Papa M? Do you know Tortoise? Do you know, like I'm trying to connect with them with the American bands I know, you know. Do you know Tarantel? And like people are looking at me like, are you sure those are American bands? Like, I'm like, what's going on? Because for us, like from our, you know, indie rocker world from Switzerland, I mean, we saw those guys like as stars, and they are. I mean, in my humble opinion, they're amazing. Like, but it's just that in the bigger scope of things, in the U.S., I mean, there's some like successful alternative bands. Like, no, your regular Joe Schmo is not gonna know about it. So I'm there, and then I like, so I eventually then, with my bike, made it to the DMV and passed. Like I took, it was out of this world. I didn't know how to drive. I had enough money for 1 hour of class, and I took this guy. Comes in, he gives me 1 hour of class, and he's like, "Yeah, I think you're good to go." and I'm like, okay. And then so with my bike, I went to the DMV and I passed. So in the meantime, there was this Japanese girl from my language class. She's like, and she's, you know, kind of tiny woman. And she's like, oh, I'm leaving, like if you want, I can sell you my car. And I'm like, oh, great. And I always, you know, like my best friend is Japanese, and I know that, I mean, it's without being stereotypical, I mean, I know that they take good care of their cars, and, you know, and there's less of maybe a culture of they're going to try to take advantage of you, you know, like there's more like honesty. Of course, it's like a generalization, but the fact that I went to class with her and like she seemed to have her act together, and like I was like, yeah, that could be a good option. And then she's like, so I'm expecting, I don't know, like since she was a woman and she was kind of you know, average size, like I was expecting like you know, maybe a little Suzuki or something like that. And then the car is like this 1986 Buick with like 6 cylinders. I mean, it could fit like 7 to 9 people in it. It was like a living room. And so yeah, she sold me that car, and it was great. I mean, it was consuming a lot of gas, but it was just amazing, and the sound system was great. I think it's like the old circuits and everything. The music was so great. Like it was so like I will listen to music like all day in my car. Then I moved to from that residential area. I moved to Pacific Beach, and I got a roommate there. Also through some other Japanese ladies that I met at the bar. And since before moving to the US, I went to Japan, and my best friend is Japanese. So I kind of know some stuff about the Japanese culture. So I was at this bar, so I had no English. So it was kind of more difficult to initiate a conversation with English-speaking ladies. So I saw these like two Japanese girls. So I go to them and I'm like, konnichiwa, and I start telling like about my experience in Japan, my best friend, and the things I knew from the Japanese culture. So they were very welcoming. They were surprised that like I knew from all that, and they're like, oh, wow, what's going on and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I'm looking for a place to live, and they were like, oh yeah, we know a guy that is looking for a roommate, and he lives in Pacific Beach, and he works at this coffee shop. And so they introduced me to Brian. So that was like, he's a very key character in my American journey, the American adventure. So they introduced me to him. So I went to visit, and he was living in one room, and he actually wanted to share the room. So I went there, and the first thing is like, he's like, oh, like, you know, I'm not gay, and the golden rule is like the first one who comes with the lady, the other one sleeps on the couch. And there was another roommate. He had his own. He was this guy from LA. He had his own room. So we were just like three dudes in Pacific Beach, and then eventually, like, we got kicked out, but we stuck together with Brian, and we got an apartment from. I think it was one of the Japanese ladies that gave me his contact, and another Japanese lady. It was all like Japanese connection, like in the early days. And then we moved to a place, like we had each our room, and then he was really nice. He got me a job where he was working as a barista, and then like that was my that's how I kind of entered the coffee the coffee world, and specialty coffee. I mean, it was kind of starting out back then, but I think they were roast. We were getting our coffee from Cafe Moto, and they were really good. And also the owner, like, they really cared about how you made foam and all that. Like, it was a good school for me, a barista school. Yeah, people are so nice here. It's just, I love it. Like, it's yeah, they're genuinely nice, and yeah, people like people with the selfie sticks, you know. Like in my time, it was more like you had a guitar on your back, you were cool. Now it's like you have a selfie stick, and you talk to yourself, and you're cool. So yeah, that was like, I kind of went on a big tangent, but that was how my American dream started. But then it was great. Like it was like out of a movie, you know. Like then I stopped going to language school. I started having a little bit of problems with the. I mean, I had a 5-year visa, but you need to go to school to maintain it, and I didn't know, and I stopped going to school. I mean, I finished the language school, and then September 11th happened. So then everything was less relaxed, you know. And you know, you know, being Muslim, me being of Turkish origin, and when your name is Ali, like I was maybe a little bit more nervous than others. So I applied to all the universities and to get in, and they all rejected me. Like they all rejected me. And then there was the 2002 World Cup. Like I watched the World Cup. It was great. Like Turkey did great. So it was great. And after the World Cup, they called me, like San Diego City College. They called me and they're like, "Hey, we got your application." And I had a bad experience before because I wanted to go to a community college. It was I don't know if it was Mira Mesa or something in like a college in the north. And when I went to apply, the lady, she noticed that I was kind of out of like status, you know. And then she's like, "Oh, but your paperwork is out of date." And then she called somebody. That was also out of a movie. And then I'm like, "Ooh, what's going on?" So I took all my paperwork and I left. And she's like, "Where are you going? Where are you going?" So then I left, and my car was on the other side of the parking lot, and there was like a there was like a little like a barrier, like you know, vegetation, like how they call that, hedge. So as I'm leaving, I saw security, like campus security, coming towards me. So I jumped over this thing. My car was on the other side. I opened the trunk of the Buick. I put everything inside, and then I'm just left. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, "Oh yeah, they want to deport me." And like, this is the end. And so I watched the World Cup, and I was like thinking, maybe after the World Cup I will have to leave because sooner or later they're gonna find me, you know. So after the World Cup, like there's this Mexican American guy from San Diego City College who calls me, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we got your application, and please come visit us." And I'm thinking it's a trap. I'm gonna go there and they're just gonna handcuff me, and you know, that's gonna be the end of the American dream. So I go over there, and then the guy is like, "Oh, so where are you from?" And I'm like, "I'm, you know, Swiss Turkish." And he's like, "Oh, I watched the World Cup. Turkey did really well." And so I was just like, wow, it's like the guys seem kind of positive, you know. And he's like, "Yeah, we got your application. Here we accept the top 100%. So if you wanna give it a shot." And then I told him, you know, like my paperwork, and he's like, "Don't worry about that. I'll fix that." And he's like, "We don't care what you've done." That stayed with me it became like a life philosophy for me. Like he said something like, "We don't care what you've done before, how you perform, but what we care about is like how you perform here." And yeah, then I enrolled like for a $12 unit, like the San Diego City College. And I stayed like 3 months there. No, 3 months, 3 years. So I did all my general education, because in Switzerland I was a high school dropout. So I first finished, I did my GED. In 1 week I completed my GED. And then San Diego City College, 3 years there. And after the 3 years, I was able to transfer to UCSD. I wanted to go to San Diego State, but again, like the counselors, they were like, "Oh, you're one of our best students here. We think you can go to UCSD." So I applied, and it got accepted. Like it was crazy. And I mean, before, when I was the first time around, I had also applied to UCSD, but they had rejected me. But now with my credits and City College, and yeah, I think maybe they took me more seriously. So then I went to UCSD, and 3 years later I graduated from UCSD. So that was one you know, well, yeah, one leg of the American dream for me, because you know, I went from being a high school dropout to a graduate guy from one of the most competitive universities, you know, in the US. On my diploma, I have Arnold Schwarzenegger's signature, you know, because he was the governor back then. So it was just, that's like, if that's not the American dream, what it is, you know, like it's like, so on the education side, that was my American dream. And on the rock and roll side, so then in San Diego, started the band, and then that band broke up, and then with Chris, the drummer, we stuck together. So we're like, oh, we want to keep rocking. So we're looking for guitar players. Then we found Kenny. Then we started Channing Cope, put out an album, and that album, first album we did put ourselves. Then we put the second one that got picked up by a label. Then we got signed, which was like, you know, any band's dream back then, to get signed on a label. And then we toured, and even before that, we were already touring the West Coast and everything. But we did one month long U.S. tour, and I mean, in total, like maybe 10 or 12 tours, you know, with with all the, I'll say with all the projects I played with Channing Cope, I don't know how many, but we played like near 300 shows and released the third album, and we were really like, we got a lot of support, like local support from the San Diego scene. Then when we were touring, it was like great, like to represent San Diego, because there are so many great bands that come out of San Diego that people sometimes will come to our shows. They didn't know our band, but they will come because they were fans of like San Diego, you know, to connect, you know. So that was, it was almost like a label in itself, a label of quality, you know, to be from San Diego. And so that was great. I mean, so like, so then I played with Kenseth, Thibideau. We also did some touring. So yeah, I mean, never, you know, got really big or anything, but even in the US, like we opened for great bands, with mostly with Channing Cope, and also with Kenseth. So it was great, like to be part of that scene. And Kenseth, then I know that, like that was also like the American dream thing. So Kenseth, he was from San Francisco, and then at one point he entered the San Diego scene, and with Channing Cope, when we started out, we will play a lot of shows with Sleeping People. And they had no bass player back then. It was like 2 guitars, a drum, like, amazing band. But then Kenseth joined the band, so then we become like friends, you know, like through the scene. And years later, not like because when I was in Europe, I was a Tarantelle fan, you know, we'll listen to Tarantelle. Then I somehow connected the dots and find out that I'm already friends with Kenseth, and you know, like, you know, he's just like, you know, one of my friends from the scene. Then I just find out that he was in Tarantelle, you know. And so that was also like a big, you know, like a big moment for from my perspective, you know, like in terms of living the American dream. And so yeah, never got to, you know, never became like a rock star or anything in the US, but I played almost like, you know, every single American states, you know, not Florida, not some of the, we went up to Mississippi. We were supposed to go more, but there was the Katrina that happened, so we couldn't do that. Obviously didn't play Alaska, but even Dakota, South Dakota, we passed through, like we didn't play there, but like most of the states, I mean, I was able to play. And also with the West Coast, I mean, I don't know how many times, the whole San Diego, Seattle thing, you know, tour. Played a lot, like in the, you know, Arizona, yeah, it was for me. It was like a great experience. Like I lived my American dream, like of touring the country and seeing how it is, and it's just a beautiful country. Beautiful country, really nice people, and also when you're touring, I mean, people have a lot of respect for, depending on the places, but I mean, there are some places the rock culture is something like people, they know what it's about and how difficult it is. So when they see you, you know, with your sleeping bag, sleeping on the floor and stuff, like every night, like people are very generous, like they're very supportive. I mean, I had things like a guy and his girlfriend giving me his bed and them going to sleep in the park, to, you know, like a show will be organized, and the organizers, I think once they went with the money, but then the bartenders from their tip jar, you know, they gave us tip, like gas money, things like, it's great. It's like a great brotherhood, you know, in the US. Like if you're a rocker, I mean, it's like there's this like network, national network of rockers, and then you know, people, you will open for bands, you know, like when you're touring local bands, and then you will book shows for them in San Diego, you know, that type of exchange, like and at the end of the day, I mean, yeah, nobody, well, I mean, some of my friends actually, they got famous, I mean, and there were already famous people like in the within the scene, but at the end of the day, yeah, it wasn't, yeah, I mean, maybe the goal back then was, you know, trying to make it and stuff, but yeah, what I gained out of that experience is like amazing friendships and amazing stories, and yeah, I mean, that's how life should be lived, you know. So in that aspect too, I was able to live the American dream. And the third leg, no pun intended, it was with the ladies, you know. It was, I mean, in Switzerland, I wasn't doing too bad. I mean, I always had girlfriends, and also when I will go back to Turkey in the summer, yeah, girls will be, I don't know if they were into me or my Swiss passport, but like, or a combination of two. But yeah, I'll have good times in Turkey in the summer. But in the US, the whole girlfriend experience, even just skyrocketed for me, and I don't know the reason. Maybe it's just marketing. Like I was like this, you know, this, you know, like because I speak French, so this like a French lover, but also I'm Turkish, so 1001 nights type of tale with the French, you know, accent, and the fact that I served in the Swiss Army, I guess it gave like, you know, it gave like more confidence to like people, maybe more paranoid with the people from the Middle East, the Muslims and all that. So I had like I think the marketing was pretty good. Like I had the niche. And also, like, I mean, it was working really well with the ladies, but I think during my whole like dating career in the US, yeah, I never got a Friday night or a Saturday night date. I think never. I mean, like a first date, you know. Then once you're dating, it's different. But so my theory is that I even got like some Monday or Tuesday dates, you know, with girls, like, and so my theory is that for those women, I wasn't their first choice at all. You know, I was, you know, I was down in the list, but somehow, like, it worked. Like, so I don't know. That's also maybe a niche thing, or I don't know. I was really, yeah, it was a good plan B or plan C, you know, or plan D. For women, but then ended up happening, turning that into a plan A. So yeah, so when we put those three things together, And then in the US, I learned English, and then I learned Spanish. And the moment I learned Spanish, it really opened up like a parallel universe for me, mostly with the Mexican community in San Diego. So yeah, I really had a great life. So I feel like I really lived like the American dream in the US. And then eventually I didn't manage the certain things the way I should. So I mean, nobody told me to leave, you know, but I was just like because I had my diploma and I had some temporary working permits, but I didn't know how actually those working permits, I learned it afterwards. They're really giving you an opportunity to turn that into a green card, but you have to be really on top of things, and there are dates, and you got to find a sponsor, and I kind of knew it, and I kind of started that way, but then there was like the 2008 crisis. Yeah, I didn't manage the whole immigration thing very well. So then I was just like, you know, I was living there, I mean, no problem, but yeah, I had this, I could not take advantage of my diploma, you know, because I graduated from a good school. So I was working like restaurants, and that's where it was a mistake. Actually, I was really happy working in the restaurant business, but in my head it was always like this, you got to be a white collar, you invested, you know, I was seeing it like, you invested all this time and money to get a good degree, now you have to get the return on investment. And so that's why I decided, I'm gonna move to Switzerland, move back and get a white collar job. And it really worked that way. Like, I went to Switzerland in 2.5 weeks, which must be the Swiss record. I find a really good job. Then I got promoted and everything, and I mean, it was kind of a success in itself. But I wasn't happy, and that was also a big life lesson. You know, don't look down on any job. Like, if you're happy, you know, if you find happiness, just hold. You know, so then I was just like, I was missing my life in the U.S. A lot, even though, you know, I was making good money, career-wise, it was moving forward. I was really missing the U.S. So after a while, I decided to move to Argentina. I was just like, because I was a little bit fed up with all the, like, how immigration is difficult, like in the U.S. So I was like, I've already tried Northern America, let's go to the south, you know. So I went to Argentina, and then that life turned into a nomadic life. And then I was able to integrate music with that, played shows, and it was great. Like, that's also like dream-like life. And but in the corner of my head, I was like, I'm gonna go north and eventually cross the border and go back to San Diego. And I went up to Tijuana, you know. I went up to Tijuana. I had this like nostalgic moment, you know, like romantic, you know, like I was at the border in Tijuana, and on the other side of the fence, you know, there's your life of 11.5 years. And it was like during COVID and stuff, like, yeah, I mean, what happened is like that Mexico unalived my American dream, you know, like I talked about that in a previous video when I'm talking about me getting my cedula, Plan A Paraguay, the video is called. It's yeah, I mean, I came to the realization that I mean, one of the things that made San Diego so exceptional is that for me it's the Mexican culture. It's the Mexican culture, Mexican people, and how I also the way like I could connect with them, you know. There too, maybe there was a niche because I made the effort to learn their language, and maybe from their perspective, it's like they didn't see me like a gringo, you know. They're like, okay, this guy's kind of European, but he's not like the, you know. And also maybe physically a little bit like maybe it helps, but so yeah, they really took good care of me, you know. Like I made a lot of friendship with them, and so once like in Mexico and Latin America, I was just like, you know what, that's I mean, what's the point to go to the US, you know? I mean, the only thing that is great is the rock scene, you know. It's like you can, I mean, the whole infrastructure to rock is great, you know, in the US. And I mean, it was when I was back then, now I don't know, but, and also to see, because rock is culture, you know, like I see it like that. I mean, you have to, I mean, I always say you have to listen to music as much as you play as a musician. And man, in San Diego, you can go out every night, you know. You can go out every night there. I mean, you take the Casbah's calendar. I mean, the owner, I think, like, I don't know, like Tim, I don't know right now how he manages that, but back then, even though he got really big as a businessman, he was doing the booking himself, you know. Like that was like, the guy understood that the booking is it's the key of the success of a rock club, you know. So I was just like, you know, like with my band and stuff, like talking to him, like, hey, can you get us a show that night, or if there's a big like touring band coming, hey Tim, I think will be a good fit. And the guy, it was like on Mondays, I think it was like Monday, there's an hour, like it was back then, it was like you had to call, like you had to call. Then he switched to emails, like we're doing with emails and stuff. But so yeah, I mean the Casbah, you can go every night, you know, and there's like you know, like the band might not be your cup of tea, but there's always a thought. And so there's somebody with good taste that is booking the shows. And I think his only rule was like no reggae. So, and I saw in interviews like besides reggae, like pretty much everything can play there. And that was like, it was just because San Diego and reggae, you know, it's very, like he was just saying that there are enough places that are doing that, the reggae shows. So the scene didn't need one more reggae club. But so yeah, like but besides the music thing, like, you know, I started like realizing that, you know what, like if you have, because when you live in Latin America, there's a leverage, you know, if you can manage. So that's the whole video. I mean, it's been almost an hour I'm talking. So the new American dream is keep a foot in the US or Europe or maybe Japan, like places that are with higher income, and leverage that with technology, so you can do jobs in those countries or run a business in those countries and live in Latin America, you know, or Southeast Asia, or where places where, you know, like, I mean, in Colombia, if you have $2,000 a month, you're rich. You are a rich person. Like I'm not saying you're ultra rich, but you're, because the minimum wage is $250, you know. So instead of going to the US, I mean, unless you're doing something very specific, like, oh yeah, I want to be in the show business, or I want to be in Silicon Valley, or like something that is like location specific. I mean, what's the point to enter a rat race? Because the US is rat race, you know, it's just like, it's very competitive. So you're gonna enter a rat race, your rent is gonna be, depending on where you live, so if you live in a cool city, it's probably gonna be very expensive. Then your groceries are gonna be very expensive, and you're gonna be eating, you know, like genetically modified food, you know, like it's in the US to eat real food, it's very expensive and difficult, you know. So is it still worth it, you know? I don't think so. I mean, it's case specific, so yeah, of course, if you have a specific job, or if I mean, San Diego is always in my heart, like you know, I always miss it, you know, like it's a great city to live. But then you have to think about what's your reality is going to be there today, you know. And also, like on a personal level, I kind of changed, like politically. I mean, in 2011, politically, when I moved back to Europe, I read a book that, I think I'm not going to mention, because the author has all kinds of problems. It's kind of controversial, but well, that book is never get attacked because it's not an opinion book. It's like a history book of how the whole banking system works and how it came about with the king, the church, and the military. You know, that triangle, and how the French Revolution is actually a coup. In reality, it's a coup of the bourgeois elite and the bankers. So I read that book 3 times. It kind of totally changed my life. Like I understood that the whole, like, you know, the banking system was a lie, and I mean, they're lending money that they don't have, but then you have to give that money back with interest, but with real work of yours. So I understood that and everything. So I kind of start losing faith in like the system, and so that was in 2011. But it took me 6 years to to move to the United States. But all that, what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, I mean, it's just like there's a definite decline in the West, in the extreme West, how I like to call it, like so extreme West meaning US, Europe, Australia, maybe Japan, because I mean, like right now I'm in Paraguay, it's also the West, but it's more West / global South, I think. So like the realities are different. So now I think like the new American dream, or my American dream, I shouldn't say that, I mean, maybe pretentious to say it's the new American dream, but my American dream morphed into that, where I you know, now I opened the business in the US as a foreigner. So I have my business in the US, I have residence in Paraguay. Yeah, I have 2 passports, and yeah, and I'm also looking for other digital nomad visas. Yeah, I'm just like trying to be flexible, because you don't know, you know, like if there's another shutdown or something. I also got this residency on an island. It's a digital residency, which they give you an ID, and you can, you know, do certain things online, and also you can live on the island 9 years out of the year. So, you know, if there's a shutdown, that also can be an emergency plan. So so my American dream kind of moved into you know, instead of being a place, it's more of a concept now. It's this concept where you're using digitalism to pivot, leverage things, and be able to be like a mobile, you know. So, you know, I had the idea to start my business in Mazatlan, Sinaloa, Mexico. Then I started my business in Medellin, Colombia. Then I developed my business in Paraguay. Then went back to Medellin. Like, you know, it doesn't. I have continuity. Like, my business is like, you know, it's still. It's still like I just completed the first year, so don't take this video as, wow, look how successful I am, and you know, I have a formula. Yes, I feel successful because I find like I found happiness in that term. Like I feel like extremely successful, but I'm still in the process. I mean, that's my to make it to make it sustainable, like, and sustainable at a good level. Not it could be sustainable, but you're struggling all the time. So that's what I'm doing. So don't take what I'm saying like, oh, I have a solution, do like me, and you'll encounter success. That's not the message I wanna give. But that's the path I've chosen, and it's very exciting. I mean, it's been very exciting, and it's very exciting, and I'm like, so time will tell. But that's what my American dream morphed into, and I think it's far better. Yeah, I'm a far better place, you know, because I can access really good, like in Paraguay I access really good meat. In Mexico I can eat really good seafood. Yeah, dating women, it's very easier and way, yeah, there's not like all that stuff that happened after I left the US, like the whole like ultra feminism and all those things, and like where the man-woman relationship kind of changed. I mean, I understand, but yeah, I mean, it's just that in Latin America it feels just normal, you know. It's just it feels normal to me. It's way easier way. Yeah, I mean, like, for example, in Paraguay, you see a woman, you can go to her, I mean, politely, and be like, you know what, like, you know, I think you're very cute, and she'll be happy, you know, like, it's not, you know, and if she's not interested, politely she'll make you understand with the smile and everything, but it's not a big deal. It's not like you've stolen her womanhood, or like you're a misogynist man, or yeah, you can kind of follow your instincts, you know, and the good thing is like, well, it depends on. I'm not saying it's like that in all Latin America, because there are certain places where, I mean, the problem is not really like woman, it's more like the man disrespecting woman, and then the woman become very defensive. But for example, in Paraguay, like, I feel that women, they have a lot of confidence. Like, they have a lot of times, like, they approach me, and yeah, they're confident. Like, they know that because why they're confident? Because the men, they're respected by men, so they don't have to be in that defensive mood. But I'm not saying it's like that everywhere in Latin America. Like, far from that. But in Paraguay, I've noticed that, and I think it's very healthy. You know, sometimes I contact a little bit more than usual with someone, and they're like, "Hey, hola, ¿cómo estás?" And it's very refreshing. And also, sometimes I go to the mall, and over there you have all the, you know, more the executives and all that type of people. And sometimes I'll see those executive type women, or like with the business suit, super like pretty makeup and all that. And usually, in my experience, like with my like rocker like outfit, I mean, I'll be transparent for that type of woman. But here, I don't know. I think just the fact that you're a foreigner, I don't know what it is. Several times, like woman with that profile will salute me, will sit with me at the terrace, chat. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So I think it's a social economic thing. Like, it's not like yeah, I don't think it's a whole lot different than another place. It's just that even though I may look like I have a rocker outfit, or like kind of like an outfit that doesn't look like a wealthy person in the West, maybe here it still communicates the fact that there's money. So it can be something like that. So I'm not saying that, you know, they are better, women are better here than anywhere else. It could be that the dynamics are the same, but it's just what you're signaling is interpreted in a different way. And also, I mean, there are no many tourists here, so that's also a big advantage. So you're still like, you being a foreigner, it's exciting for the people, you know, because they're not fed up of seeing buses loaded of tourists coming every day at their village or something like that. So yeah, it's been a pretty long video. Thank you for watching. So yeah, that was like, I'll rewatch it. It was kind of a freestyle, but that's kind of how, like, my American dream morphed into something else. And the way I see it, I mean, because I lived the American dream, I was lucky to live it. So the way I see it is a little bit like maybe like aged tequila or aged whiskey, or, you know, or wine, you know, like I see it like that, you know, like my young American dream, it was great. And with time, it morphed into something else that is not located in the US, but we're still on the American continent. And it morphed into this, and it's super exciting. It's super exciting, and I think I'm getting more. Yeah, I'm getting more for the effort I put in, you know. So yeah, something to think about. And so my outlets are Black Sea Storm. It's my musical project. So my albums are present on all the major streaming platforms and YouTube. I also have a YouTube channel with that project. So it's at Black Sea Storm. Then I have a product called the Fasting Electrolytes. So with my brand YouthLyte. So this is like electrolyte powder that you solve into water or lime juice, and you make electrolyte drink. It will support your fasting, your carnivore diet, and also your workout sessions. And also I'm the author of a book called For a Better Monday, and which is focused on my adventure of fasting and how fasting affected my life and how it made me healthier. And now, like, I believe the life I'm living today is a result of that. So if you're interested, so I have a Stan store. I think it's Stan/Black Sea Storm. No, Better Monday Fasting. And I also do coaching if you're interested. Coaching mostly for fasting, but also if you're interested in moving, it can also be, we can bounce ideas with the strategy to how to move to Latin America. And so I'm not a professional in health, and I'm not a professional in immigration, but I've been an immigrant all my life, and now I accumulated enough experience with fasting and immigration. So I can be helpful, I think, to. But then for the specifics, yeah, you might want to do your own research and maybe go with a professional, you know. But to put a game plan together or to get inspiration, I think I can be helpful. So thank you for watching, and I see you in another video, hopefully. Thank you.